Hey guys, here on, well, for us, Monday is a holiday. I took the Monday holiday off, which I don't usually do, but I felt like taking the day off, so took the Monday off for our holiday here in Canada. But I thought I better make up a video because I don't want to get behind in making videos. So I had to move the race truck ahead just so I could get in the garage here, because my garage that I have at the moment is not big enough. Needs to be bigger. So anyways, that's another problem that I have, but we'll get that problem sorted out the next couple years here. So what I got here in the corner, if I can get it all into view, is what I use for making biodiesel. I hadn't made biodiesel in a few years now. Kind of got out of doing it, just was busy, and you know, at that point I really wasn't spending a lot of money on fuel. I'm driving back and forth to work. It's not that far back and forth to work for me, so I just never really worried about it. But I did have it set up where I was processing, I don't know, probably 100 gallons a month, probably, of usable fuel, probably, ish, along that line. But then I got to the point where I had a lot, so I was like, well, I don't need to keep making it. I do have a bunch of vegetable oil to process. So I'm gonna have to get some of the stuff that I need to process that. So I figured I got this oil, I might as well process it, and I can bring you guys along for the journey. So this will be part of the alternative fuel part of the channel, I guess, playlist. So what we got here, it's not a super complicated setup. Even some of the stuff that I have that I honestly, if I was setting up another one, which I'm going to redo a bunch of this. So when I redo it, that will be redoing to the point where, you know, if you guys wanted to make one of these, or even on a smaller scale, you could. And I don't know how much money I have into this setup. Probably a lot more than I should. If I was redoing it, it would be a lot less, just because. So basically what we have, 45 gallon drum, or it's 210 liters, but 45 gallons. We'll do everything in gallons just for a lot of you guys are there, but 210 liters, 45 gallons. So this is what I would put my waste vegetable oil in. Now, if it was cold in the wintertime, I don't really keep this garage heated, but what I would do is I just had an element that I would heat the oil with a little bit before I would start to do any processing with. So basically, I welded a bung in the bottom. So a valve here, it comes through a screen just to make sure there's no french fry bits or any of that type of shit in there. Comes through, and then you can it will go into the pump, and you would pump it from here. Goes into the T as long as you have everything turned off. Goes through here, and then you can pump the oil from here into hot water tank. So this would be your, we always call it vessel, but it wouldn't be a vessel per se, but your reactor, I guess you would say. But basically, it's basically just a tank that's insulated, so easy to keep warm. I only ever use the bottom thermostat on it. And it looks like I have stolen the thermostat off for something. I can't remember what I stole it for, but I obviously stole it for something because it's not there. So I will have to get a new, oh, actually no, there's one right here. That's probably the one I stole. Anyways, don't need it today because I'm not doing any today. So I just use the one element in the bottom because you want to make sure that your element is always submerged. And then I had a vent on the top here. And basically all I did with that is I would throw it in there just in case it bubbled over, and then it would just go into here and you didn't have to worry about it, because otherwise you make a mess on the floor, which isn't the end of the world. But it's because it's basically just vegetable oil and some menthol hydrate at that point. So basically what you do is you get how much you need to have in here, and then you heat it, and then you add your potassium hydroxide is what I use, and methanol, menthol hydrate, ethanol, whatever you're using, mixture, and then you would pump that into there, and then it mixes around for X amount of time. After that, you would take it from this tank into, or the processor, I think that's what I used to call it, the processor, into this tank. It would settle in this tank, and then you would settle off your glycerin, which is basically the byproduct, the garbage that you can't do anything with. So I would put it in there, and then after that settles, I'd let that settle for a couple hours. and then pull it off. You got to get rid of that. I can get rid of that easy because of the shop. So you would get rid of that, and then you are left with uncleaned biodiesel at that point. So, you know, I will get into doing more of the process, but just, you know, there is more to it than that. That's just a simple breakdown. And then after, basically what I would do is there's lots of different cleaning processes. The one that I actually found that I like the best is I would transfer it from there into a tote, and then I would let it sit. And basically, and I would put a, I don't know if I have one sitting here or not. Let's see, no, there isn't one on the end. Basically a bubbler on the end of it. And I don't have one. Basically a stone bubbler. Throw that in the tank, and you just let it sit in there and bubble for, I would usually let it bubble for a week. And basically what that does is it takes out the methyl hydrate that's in it. Now, something I do want to warn you guys when you're doing this stuff, I would not recommend doing it in a garage. I know, kind of an oxymoron, but I would not recommend doing it in a garage. Maybe in a shed that if it was to burn down, it wouldn't matter. I always paid very close attention. I would never leave the garage when I was doing this. And I had thermostats and, you know, like a bunch of fail-safe stuff to, you know, make it so nothing happened, but I would never leave the garage. And then I would always, when I, you know, after I was done, I would always leave 2 windows open so that when your methyl hydrate is coming off, which is very little of it, I would always leave 2 windows open. And we usually would do it in the summer. Very seldom would ever do anything in the winter because it just takes too much time to heat everything up, right? I would always leave 2 windows open. If it smelled really bad in here, I had a fan that fits in the window that would actually circulate air, and I would have it so it would be off for 4 hours, on for an hour, off for 4 hours, on for an hour. And then when I was doing lots of processing, I actually had a tote at the shop. So basically what I would do is I would put it into that little blue barrel right there. Or I had, I don't think the other barrel is here. I had another little plastic barrel that I would pump it in and out of. I'd bring it to the shop, and then I would let it sit at the shop. Just literally let it sit outside with a vent on it. But anyways, just a disclaimer there. Make sure that if you are going to do this, when I set this up on my acreage, I've not bought the acreage yet, but when I buy the acreage, I'm actually going to set it up in a sea can, a steel sea can. 1, just so you can lock it, keep the critters and stuff out. But then 2, if something was to happen, you know, it's not inside your garage. Obviously, a steel sea can isn't going to burn. Yada, yada, yada. Anyways, just so you're aware, be careful. So after that, I would let that sit. I'd let that bubble for probably, I don't know, a few days anyways. After that, I would let it sit for at least a few days. Lots of times what I would do is I would use both of these totes. So, you know, you get one full, and then sometimes, you know, that's 1,000-liter tote, or 250 gallons, basically, 275, I think, so it's 1,100 liters. I would get one full, bubble it basically, and then I would start on the next one, and then when the next one was full, then that's when I would start using the fuel that was in this one, or transfer it from, after I clean it, transfer it from there over to another tote that I have over there, or there again to the shop. I tried not to keep a lot of processed fuel here, so I would only keep, you know, lots of, I shouldn't say that I filled them, but like I would get to a certain point where I would stop, you know, you got a couple hundred liters or whatever, right? And then I would store it at the shop because I have a big tank at the shop that's actually designed for diesel fuel to sit outside, steel tank, double wall, double layered, all that jazz to sit at the shop. And it's just easier than having it sit at home. I just didn't have room for this at the shop at the time. I probably could put it at the shop now, but just don't have the ambition to do anything with it right now. And I'll probably, like I said, when I buy the acreage, I will be doing more with this stuff, used engine oil and all kinds of different stuff, because I have a bunch of different plans for running a generator, heating the house and the shop, all that type of stuff. I have a bunch of plans to do that type of stuff. So there will be a bunch of stuff coming in the next few years. But so for you guys that were, this is just more than just a biodiesel setup for doing cleaning. So I would use this for cleaning. I don't have the brackets actually down inside because I haven't used it for a while, but usually this would be bolted up here. So this is the filter that I would use. This is actually off a road tractor. Basically, this setup is actually designed so that you can run coolant through it to heat the fuel. I never used that part of it, but that's what it's for. I just used it because it was easy. You could take you could empty it. There's a drain on the bottom, and then you could take the lid off, put the filter in, not spill anything and that type of stuff. So this is how I cleaned the fuel at the end, after it was technically dry. So, you know, there's no water in it. And that's something that I'll get into over here later when we do a run. But what I would do is you would filter it through this filter. And usually I would let this setup run for at least a couple hours. And then what I would do is I would filter it off. I had another, I don't know where that other filter setup is, but anyways, doesn't matter at this point. But I had another filter setup that was a 2-micron filter that I would attach to the outline, which is down yonder, and pump it out of there into my finished tote. So basically what you would do, and actually maybe something that I might actually do, is I might reset this up if I am going to use it a bit, so everything's right side by side. Always want to do that, just never did. But anyways, so this is the centrifuge. So the centrifuge will take out water, crap, corruption, stuff that you don't want in there. And so I would let it run for a couple hours, and you would actually be surprised. After it settled, you would still get a bit of stuff out, but I would usually go a couple hours, I'd pull it apart and clean it, and then I would let it run for at least another half an hour, and then see what it looked like. If it was clean, then I would transfer it over there, going through a 2-micron filter. So this one is a 10-micron filter. It would go through the centrifuge, which should take it down to, let's say 1 to 2 microns. And then I would go from there with a 2-micron filter into my usable fuel. Now, a lot of times at that time, I had guys that would trade me Jet A for biodiesel, or they would trade me diesel fuel for biodiesel. So I would always have a mixture. I even still have some of the mixture in that tote right there, which is, there's some Jet A in there, some diesel fuel, some biodiesel. I don't know, there's all kinds of stuff in there. But I did have guys that would trade me for biodiesel for other fuels, so I would mix them. So I did run it 100% at times, but something that you do have to be very careful of. If you're doing it to start with, or if you're not running it constantly, you are gonna plug up fuel filters. You're gonna have problems with the rubber fuel lines. So if you are thinking about doing this, before you do any of this stuff, what I would recommend is you have to switch over all your lines over to a silicone line if you're gonna run high concentrations. And you want to put a secondary fuel system in there. And also you want to have, especially if you do a lot of driving, you want to have a fleet of filters with you. So any filters, any of the fuel filters you potentially could be using, you want to make sure you have a bunch of them with you. If you don't, you will be stuck on the side of the road with fuel filter problems. I can guarantee it, especially if the truck has a lot of miles on it, truck, car, no matter what you're running. So just to be warned if you are doing that. Now, getting into black diesel and all that type of stuff, we'll get into that in another video. I just wanted to show you just kind of what I had for a setup here. And it's kind of a disarray because I haven't used it in, I don't even know, a few years for sure. So we'll probably maybe get it set up because I do have some oil that I have to do something with. So, you know, if I got to do something with it, I might as well make some bio out of it. And then if there's nothing else, I can run some, I like lubrication, so I will run a little in the race truck. I'll run some of my 3/4 ton. And then I think I'm going to do is I'm trying to find a 2-wheel drive 2nd gen, preferably automatic because I'm sick of shifting gears. Truck. I would take a 4-wheel drive one too, obviously. Actually, I would prefer a 4-wheel drive one, but if I can't find a 4-wheel drive one cheap enough, then a 2-wheel drive it will be. Because I would like to have a truck for 2 reasons. One, that I can run anything through. 2 is we can use it for a dyno pig to do a bunch of dyno testing. So basically it will be the mule that gets beat on constantly. If that way, if something happens, a rod throws out the side of the block, or, well, I shouldn't say if, when a rod throws out the side of the block, then, you know, it's not a nice truck per se. That's at least the hope anyways. So not that I'm going to go looking to blow up stuff, but when you get to a certain point, yeah, it's going to happen. Is what it is. For you guys that watch, have watched the UUC stuff, or I know lots of you guys watch Power Driven Diesel YouTube channel, how their engine exploded, split block in half. Gets to a certain point where that stuff is just, you know, it happens. It is what it is. You know, you get to crazy power levels, and it's not if, it's when. So, you know, when you're playing that game and an engine blows up, it happens. You know, like, you can't blame it. There's nobody to blame in that one when you're asking a block to take 2,000-3,000 horsepower. Even, you know, anything above 1,000 horsepower, you know, like, really, like, man, these things were designed to make 250 horsepower. Let's say 390 horsepower, you know, is probably on the high end of things as far as, like, the mechanical stuff went. So, you know, if it makes a bunch of power, if you're making 5, 6, 7, 8, 900 horsepower and something happens, that's just nature of the beast. So, you know, it is what it is. So anyways, let me know down in the comments. Let me know down in the comments if you guys have any questions, comments on this. I probably will reset it up. You know, maybe I usually take Sundays off, try to kind of chill with the family on Sundays. You know, do a little bit of YouTube stuff or whatever. But let me know in the comments if you guys would like to see me set this up and start to make some. Just so you guys can see the process. Now, this can be done in a much smaller scale or a much bigger scale, but this is what I have. Now, something that you do there again, another thing, something that you want to watch. Not every province or state is the same as far as how much you're allowed to run with taxes, with fuel tax and all that stuff. So please make sure before you go ahead and do any of this stuff that you find out what that is. And if you don't care, cool, don't care. I personally never really worried about it because I didn't run just that. I always ran fuel as well. You are allowed to run additive in Alberta, and you are allowed to run additive in a large amount. So that being said, hey, if you can save some money, right on, save some money. So, and that's, you know, I did that, and it was something I wanted to learn how to do. I was the same with the black diesel setup. Running straight vegetable oil, I don't recommend, but we will do that too. Jet A, you know, all kinds of different stuff. Kerosene, was just stuff. If I got my hands on it, I ran hydraulic fluid. You know, I would run just about anything through. That was one of my trucks that I just used it for driving back and forth. It was basically just a old rotten out pickup truck. Had like 500,000 kilometers on, didn't care. So, and I never had any major issues with it. There is some issues. We will get into that later. So, like, subscribe, hit me down in the comments. Let me know what you want to see, what you want me to do. And hopefully, I'm hoping, end of the month, we're going to have the base website set out, and I will have some merchandise for you guys. I'm hoping. If not, then I don't know. I'm not sure what to do at that point, because I need to get that stuff set up. I got guys that are constantly asking about t-shirts and about the dyno packages. I talked about the dyno packages. I got guys that are asking about that and all that type of stuff. And I want you guys to have that stuff. I want you guys to have t-shirts, hats, hoodies, stickers, all that stuff that you guys are asking about. It doesn't seem to want to line itself up for some reason for me. So when we get her lined up, you guys will know the day that I have something to show you. You will know. I don't care if it's at 10 o'clock at night. I'll make a video at 10 o'clock at night, and you guys, I'll post it right away. Anyways, like, subscribe, hit me down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. Thanks to my Patreons. Thanks everybody. If you guys do want to become a Patreon, I do have 3 tiers. Link is down below. All right, thanks guys. Take her easy. Catch you on the next one.